Welcome to InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw. For years, shelter animals at Oregon Humane Society's Salem Campus needing x-rays or dental care had to be transported for that care to the Portland shelter. Well, the long ride to the Portland shelter is no longer needed. The digital radiology project in Salem is completed and the veterinary clinic expanded, so shelter pets won't have to wait until transportation is available to get the help they need. They can get that care right there. Well, what will these upgraded facilities and services mean for the shelter? Can it add services? And with so many animals arriving to our shelters in heroic rescues from wildfires and floods, and even from out of state, what is the plan for arranging care and adoptions for these rescues? Let's get the big picture now from my guests, Wiley, yes, you can hear Wiley in the background, and Laura Klink, our Public Information Officer, and Hobie Pearson, their trainer and adoptions person. Hi there, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Who have we here? Your gentle giant, you called him.
This is Wiley. He is a transfer up from Saving Grace shelter down in Roseburg. He's about 6 years old. He's a Border Collie Pyranees mix, most likely. We do call him our gentle giant. He's really just a nice, mellow guy. He loves attention and loves the pets. And he is available for adoption right now.
Did you say he was a stray?
He was brought into Saving Grace as a stray, and that was he was there for about a month before they transferred him to us.
You are in need of a home.
They're one of our transfer partners that they kind of rely on us to help them out when animals aren't finding a home there.
Sometimes, can I meet you?
Yeah, you want to go say hi?
I'd love to meet you.
Go ahead.
If he's in the room.
There we go. Yeah, go say hi to Wendy. No, go over here. Hello.
You want to lead him over that way?
Good boy. There you go.
If somebody does show an interest in adopting this great, big, beautiful boy, oh, hello.
He's rubbing on your chair.
What can they expect?
So Hobie and his team do an amazing job at the Salem campus helping to match people with pets. Wiley's a wonderful dog, but he may not be the right fit for everyone. And the Salem campus is open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And Hobie can probably speak a little bit more to the awesome work that his team does in helping to find matches for these guys.
Yeah, so all of our adoptions are first come, first served basis. They can just show up. We sign them up to meet. We take them out. We introduce them to their prospective pets and talk about what we know about them. We talk about their home. Maybe they tell us kind of what they're looking for. We don't always have a lot of information. You know, Wiley he was brought in as a stray, so we have what we call shelter information. I don't know what Wiley's life looked like prior to coming in. I do know that since he's been with us, he's been delightful. He's just a really mellow, sweet guy, does fine with other dogs, obviously really likes people and pets.
How old do you think he is?
They've aged him around six years old.
6 years old? Mm-hmm. Did he get a thorough going over medically and all of that?
We don't always not every pet's going to have a thorough veterinary exam. Our admissions team, our intake team takes a look at them. Our animal care team and our customer care team all keep an eye on the pets as they're with us. If we see anything wrong or we know there's something wrong, sometimes other shelters may let us know, like, hey, we have a medical situation, you're able to take this on. And if we can take that on, we do. But we do have a veterinary team, and if we see something, we say something, and they absolutely will take a look at it and take the next steps.
Well, he looks perfectly healthy.
He's a really, really nice boy. And, you know, Hobie mentioned he came to us from Saving Grace in Roseburg. A lot of shelters around the state and around the country are struggling with adoptions of larger dogs. And so these partnerships within Oregon, we are the Oregon Humane Society, so we do try to help our shelter partners around the state when we can. You know, a really nice dog like this is not meant to be in a shelter for months and months and months. And we've seen such great success with adoptions here in the Salem community that we're pretty confident that he'll find a great home here.
What are they more naturally inclined to do, this kind of dog? Are they do they like to be outside a lot?
Definitely. These are a guardian breed. The Pyrenees flocks and things like that would be their thing generally, but in all honesty, he's going to make a fine, just a pet, I think, as opposed to a dog that has to work. If somebody was looking for a nice old farm dog, he'd probably be perfect. He's just a friendly guy. We can't guarantee that he likes all the livestock or anything like that. So, but as far as people-wise and other dogs that he's met, he's done very well. So,
he's good around other dogs.
Oh yeah. He's actually pretty mellow. He's just this is kind of what you see. This is what we've seen from him so far. It's not a promise that he's always going to be that way. I
he might get in the garbage. We never know.
He might.
Would you look at that?
And animals come to us at Oregon Humane Society through a variety of sources and places. Sometimes it's someone who has to rehome their pet because they're having either housing struggles or maybe dealing with medical issues. And in that case, sometimes we know a lot about the animal that's coming to us. Some of the animals that are transferred to us from our shelter partners who were strays, we may not have a lot of information. But as Hobie mentioned, Wiley here was at Saving Grace for about a month. So, the staff down there were able to notice any differences in his health and things like that. And certainly since he's been with us at the Salem campus, he's just seemed like a really happy, healthy guy. And we're confident he's going to make someone a great pet.
Look at that. He's already feeling a home here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I make no promises. But look at you. You're just...
And it's always a tall order to ask a dog to get in the car, go to a TV studio. So in my mind, it is always kind of a special animal that is okay with all of this activity.
He seems most accommodating to your request to be here.
Absolutely.
Well, if somebody does show an interest in Wiley, what do they do?
Well, they'd come down like I talked about earlier. They would sign up. We can meet. It is same-day adoption, so at the time you meet, if you wish to adopt, that's great. We don't offer holds, so if you choose to maybe wait and think about it, that's totally fine, but anybody else behind them that came in would be able to adopt. So we do encourage people to come in when they're ready to adopt and able to do so at the time, because you might find that perfect match right then. You don't want to miss out on that.
And our website, OregonHumane.org, is updated every day with new pets available for adoption as they come to us through a variety for a variety of reasons. One thing that's interesting here down in Salem is we do see a lot of people drive down from Portland to adopt as well. I mean, Portland and Salem are only 50 miles away, and if you look at the website and you're like, oh boy, I really want to meet that dog, but he's in Portland, hop in the car and drive up to Portland, and vice versa. We have a lot of people from Portland who will drive down here to adopt as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. You were talking about the fires and things like that, and the fact that you get shelter pets from other shelters, not just in Oregon, but even from out of state. I read somewhere recently about New Mexico asking for your help, the Oregon campuses.
Yeah, so about a couple weeks ago, we were contacted by the ASPCA. They had been contacted by a shelter in New Mexico that was dealing with wildfire and flooding in their community, and they needed a way to move some of those shelter animals out of their facility quickly so they could make room for some other animals who might have been directly affected by the wildfire and flood. So these were shelter pets who came to us. But really this disaster response work is part of what we do at Oregon Humane Society. In Portland, we have a behavior and rescue center, and that building was designed to be able to accommodate animals that come in at short notice due to emergency situations. Hobie was part of the team in 2020 that did some field rescues out in Santiam Canyon of animals that were in the path of that wildfire. We all remember how devastating that was here in the valley.
Hobie, tell us about that.
Well, actually, Laura and I came down here. We helped set up an emergency animal shelter at the fairground because they were using the fairground as an evacuation center, and they had livestock pens. They have everything all set up, so it's perfect for that. And then we are set up. The Oregon Humane Society is set up to build animal kennels, dog kennels or cat kennels, whatever you need, and very quickly, definitely within 24 hours, I would say. Pretty much anywhere in Oregon. I think we could get there in 24 hours if we had to. So, but we came down here, set up some emergency kennels, and everything was great. It was all set up. We drove back to Portland, and I had just taken my shoes off at home, and I got a phone call saying, we need your help again. So I hopped back in my car and drove back down to Salem, and as I came down here to give them a hand to help with the shelter, I got a call from 911 that said a couple of the fire captains or fire chiefs from the Lyons Police Department had found a cat that had been burned in the fires and needed some assistance. So I immediately went up there, and I wasn't allowed to go all the way up because that's where that poor lady and her grandson passed. And so I was able to bring a crate. I was kind of a bus driver for this one. I brought a crate up and I said, here's what you need, here's how you're going to handle the cat, here's some big heavy gloves in case you need them. And they were able to get the cat, and he came in, and I was able to take him to the emergency vet who cared for him overnight, and then he was transferred to Willamette Humane Society, who then cared for him and put the word out that, this cat's here, and the owners came forward. So, and the owners, they lose their house.
Yeah, when I met them, they were living in temporary housing with Savage the cat. But Hobie has been part of our technical animal rescue team. So going out on these sort of specialized missions is part of what Hobie's done in some of the disaster response work. And thankfully, so far, this wildfire season has not been to the degree that was. But we are lucky to now have a Salem campus and Portland campus, because if you think back to in 2020 how close that fire came to Willamette Humane Society, at the time we were talking with the leadership there that if they had to evacuate that shelter, bringing those animals up to Portland was going to be part of the plan. Now at our Portland campus we have a dedicated rescue center, so if we face that, if and when we do have a disaster like that in our area again, between our two campuses we'll be able to do so much more.
What about the Larch Creek fire?
Yeah, that was a recent situation too. So that is a fire that was burning out in the gorge. We got word from the sheriff's department out there that there was someone living in some kind of makeshift housing with about 15 to 20 dogs, and they needed help. So our team went out to the location. The owner of these dogs had evacuated and had asked for help in getting the dogs, and he signed the dogs over to Oregon Humane Society as part of that process. So our team went out there and were able to get these dogs that were, in the path of the fire. I don't know if the fire actually wound up, hitting that exact property, but it was about, I think it was 18 dogs that came to us who had been living mostly outdoors. So it was a big adjustment for them. A lot of them smelt like wildfire. They smelt like campfire when they arrived. And a lot of them were very scared and shut down. But it was really interesting to see them adjust to being, in this quieter, calmer, cooler housing. They weren't outdoors anymore, and it was, during the real heat of the summer. And these dogs really just started to blossom. We have some that are still a little shy that are in our behavior program, but really having this dedicated space, this dedicated building at the Behavior and Rescue Center to be able to very quickly intake these dogs, give them time to settle. Hobie is part of the technical animal rescue team, but we also have another group of volunteers that are trained in disaster response work. So we are able to call those folks in to help, and so they were really caring for the dogs in the Behavior and Rescue Center. So it's a lot of different moving parts and pieces, but at the end of the day, we all have a goal of working together to be able to respond quickly and help animals and help people in those types of crisis situations.
I don't think people really know that that's exactly what you do when they think of an animal shelter. Perhaps many think of it as that there is this pet and that pet, and it all seems to be very discreet. And then behind the scenes are rescues, floods, fires, storms, dislocated animals in large numbers. This is
a lot
it's
of people,
astounding.
It is, and the thing about Oregon Humane Society that I'm really proud of, I've been a volunteer for a very long time and an employee. Hobie's been with the organization for
over 10 years.
Over 10 years. A lot of people know us for adoptions, and they see a cute dog like this, they want to come in and adopt. Maybe they found their best friend at Oregon Humane Society who's really changed their life. But Oregon Humane Society has such a broad spectrum of programs and services. So the disaster response work that we do, we just wrapped up humane education summer camps. This fall, our team will also be going out to schools with some of our dog ambassadors. I think he would actually make a great dog
Hey, Wiley,
ambassador.
there's a job for you. While you're waiting that home.
We talked a little bit about spay-neuter. We offer spay-neuter services at the Salem campus for owned pets and community cats. Hobie's team, a lot of times, you adopt a pet, you want to take a training class to solidify that bond with that animal and teach them manners and learn about their behavior. We have training and behavior classes at the Salem campus specifically. So, again, a lot of people know, oh my gosh, this is so cute. The other thing that I just learned too about some of our work in the Salem area is our humane law enforcement team so far this year has worked on over 100 cases in Marion County.
What?
So a huge amount of time from our humane law enforcement team is spent here in the Mid-Valley.
What is the need?
So, the need, a lot of people hear humane law enforcement and you think criminal, right? A lot of times we get calls from people that are concerned about an animal being neglected, and really that person just needs connection with resources. Maybe it's someone who has too many animals and needs to surrender some of the animals. So some of these calls come into our humane law enforcement division as suspected neglect cases, but when you dig a little deeper, it's really not a criminal situation. It's someone who needs a little bit of help, maybe has not been able to spay neuter their animals and now they have like 30 cats. Or sometimes it's just a matter of like education and connection with resources. Our officers carry flea medication, food, crates, and all sorts of supplies in their trucks when they go out. But of course there are those situations where there are criminal citations when there is criminal neglect involved. Our approach is to really, find out more information, with a criminal citation really being the last resort. And we know a lot of things that could look like neglect are someone being overwhelmed, someone not having resources. So we really want to give those folks an opportunity to get back on their feet.
That sounds like you really do have ways of helping people foster understanding with the pet they are adopting.
That would be the goal. I mean, that's definitely our goal. It's not just saying, hey, here's this cat, here's this dog, see you later. We want to make sure it's a good match. We want to make sure that our adopters feel supported. We encourage them to contact us if they have questions on anything, if they need a follow-up, if they need, anything from us that we can help with. If we're able to help them, we would certainly do that.
I started our program heralding a new era at the Salem campus with this digital radiology project completed. Can we go into that and tell us what it offers?
Absolutely. So you mentioned that before these tools were available on site at the Salem campus, pets had to be transported to Portland for x-rays or dentistry. And before the merger, before 2022, Willamette Humane would have to transport the animals to local vet clinics. And vet clinics are already very busy, so that was definitely challenging. So that need was identified even before the merger, and the planning and donors stepping up and saying, hey, I can see this need, I want to step up and help. So when we completed the merger in 2022, construction planning and budgeting went into full mode. So a couple weeks ago we broke ground on the project in January. We finished ahead of schedule and ahead of budget in early June, which is really awesome. We took about 400 square feet of administrative space at the Salem shelter and converted those into a suite for x-rays and another room that does dental procedures and dental exams. A lot of people don't think about dental care with our animals, but some of the animals that we that are either transferred to us or even come to us from previous owners may have painful dental disease that has been left untreated. And having that on-site capability is so important to help relieve that animal's pain and get them ready for adoption too. So these two tools, we just had a situation with a kitten who had been hit by a car who came to us, and having that on-site radiology allowed our medical team to use x-rays to see, okay, does this cat have a broken bone? What, luckily in this particular case, it was a better than expected scenario, that it was not as critically injured as we had feared. And that kitten is also doing really well now, so we're very excited about that. But, again, having those tools on site allow our medical team to work more efficiently, work faster. Shelter pets who come to us get ready for adoption sooner. So for Hobie's team, seeing an animal that's like waiting to go up to Portland for dental care or x-rays was really hard. So yeah, we're really excited to have that. And we had a ribbon cutting event here just a couple weeks ago. So really marking the start of a new era for shelter pets in Salem.
What would you like to see happen next?
We were just talking about that, our hopes and dreams,
Hopes and dreams.
For what's next. I think I know people are not really wanting to talk about the pandemic anymore, but I think we're still doing a lot of catch up on overpopulation that we backslid during the pandemic when there was a pause on elective surgeries in 2020. That included spay-neuter surgery, and even though it's been 4 years, I think we're still doing a lot of catch up on overpopulation issues because of that few months of pausing on those surgeries. So my hopes and dreams is that we can get our arms back around overpopulation, especially when it comes to cats. So we're not seeing, as many abandoned, litters of kittens, or people needing help with 30, 40 cats because they've not been able to get their animals spayed and neutered. So that's my hope and dream.
I'm right there with you. I think that because I see this every day. People coming in, they need help with, I found this cat, or there's strays everywhere. We do have a spay and neuter clinic there as well, which does provide services for some of these things as well. But I also think that we have a lot more animals that are in our shelter that need homes that we could find even more homes for. I think we can do a lot of good in the community. I'm very excited to be down here. I'm very excited to see us grow and definitely, hopefully, be a place that people find their new family member.
Saving even more lives. That's that's our
goal.
North Star, is like, how do we save even more lives?
Do you have anything in the way of education for young children that gets them acquainted with the whole world of having a pet?
Oh, I love our Humane. I love talking about our Humane education program. So, when you think about fostering a love for animals and kindness and compassion, that starts at a young age. And our Humane education team has so many great programs and services to engage children and really celebrate their love for animals. It's always, I think, so heartwarming to see how a child and an animal, just the special bond that they share and that joy that they share. That I think it's a good reminder to us as adults to really look at that unfiltered kind of joy and kindness that comes through between a bond with an animal and a young person. So our Humane education team has summer camps that they just wrapped up. They go out to the schools with animals, like Wiley would actually be a great education dog, and they teach kids everything from tell us about your favorite animal, and really making kids proud of that love that they have for animals, and teaching them about some basics like, how do you know, like, what's the proper way to approach a dog? Like, if a dog is sleeping, make sure you don't approach that dog. And then for some of the older kids, talking about all the careers that are in animal welfare. I mean, animal welfare moves forward because of the people driving it. So, a career in animal welfare can be challenging, but it is is also so rewarding. So if we can, show those young people, you could be a veterinarian, you could help with adoptions, you could help tell stories, you can take care of the animals, you can be, you can be on humane law enforcement, you can be teaching children down the road about animals. That to me is really how we just continue to basically grow a more humane society.
Hobie, when you go out on these rescues and see the animals that have been hurt or harmed by natural disasters or other kinds of disasters or even mistreatment, how do you handle that?
Well, you have to be able to compartmentalize things, definitely. Luckily the natural disasters up here we don't see a lot of. Our technical animal rescue team that's based out of Portland, we do rescues like dogs over cliffs, animals in confined spaces, some cat and tree. The outcome on those quite often is positive. It's good. But it can also be the exact opposite. And then it's not a rescue, it's what we call recovery. And it's tough. Surprisingly, it takes a lot of people to rescue one animal.
Really?
I would say comfortably we need like 8 people to rescue one dog because of how, if you're going over a cliff, it's the way that you have to set up. We do what we call a mirrored line. You're on 2 ropes. So if one breaks, you have a safety. You need people that can haul that rope. Somebody's going to have to be able to haul you up the side of a cliff along with a dog. Most of these dogs are not little chihuahuas. They're quite often big dogs like this. So you're adding an extra 75, 100 pounds to that weight. So you need a team of people. They all have to work really well. And these are all amazingly dedicated and very sharp people that do this. And it's something I've been very proud of since I join the team.
Just thinking about that and saying, note to self, if you're taking your dog for a walk near a ravine,
please have them on leash. But if you're going to go hiking, camping, anywhere else, keep your dog on a leash. Just, if nothing else, it's for that safety factor right there.
Even if your dog has the greatest recall, they could misstep and fall. And
sure.
Yeah,
they like to chase a bird, and the bird flies right. There's a bush, and then there's a cliff, and they see the bird, and they jump right over the bush and right over the cliff.
Oh.
But I always think of the during the fires in 2020 when you got Savage, that orange kitty. To me, that was your moment, and I think that was really one of the hopeful moments. I think during that whole really difficult time.
That was the cat that I was talking about earlier that I went and helped the fire department with. We set up an incident command. For like a year, I feel like it's been on forever. But sometimes there were daily meetings of what do we need to do, what do we need to be? Because everything changed so fast, and people were calling saying we need help.
If you recall, like there were sort of fires, it felt like sprouting up everywhere, and so we got a call from Lincoln County, I remember, and like we have to clear out our shelter to help with emergency boarding for local people who are coming from Otis. Can you guys come help clear out our shelter? And so, our trucks were on the road within a couple of hours. So, we all hope we don't have a repeat of that moment, but like Hobie said, we have, processes and structures in place where we set up an incident command center, and we are able to respond. But but we hope that we don't have to at that level. That was between the pandemic and the wildfire, we would like to not do 2020 over, but we know we can do it.
Well, you have put heroic efforts into what you've done, and I personally thank you for what you've been able to accomplish, both of you. Well, now we need to find Wiley a home. So
he's a pretty nice boy.
You've been a wonderful boy. You've been a great guest. Thank you.
You're a very good boy.
Yeah.
But if every day there's an opportunity to help an animal when you think about adopting or even fostering or donating. It all makes a difference.
Give us your website.
OregonHumane.org. All the animals that are available for adoption in Portland and Salem are on the website in one place. You can filter by dog or cat, or by location, or like I mentioned, we're only 50 miles apart. So, if you see a dog like Wiley and you live in Portland, come on down, or if you live in Eugene, come on up. So, where there's always an opportunity every day to help an animal.
Well, thank you for being my guest today on InSight, Wiley, and thank you for joining me on InSight.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for joining us on InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw. Yeah.